That's my 2-year medallion. And take a look at this baby right here. 2-year cake. Woo! But getting clean and sober was much more than just getting a medallion and a cake. Let me tell you about the changes that have come over the last 2 years. God, that's good. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Out Cold Ox Show. My name is Michael. I am the Ox. Before we get into all these changes I've been talking about that have happened for me over the last 2 years, I just wanted to get into a few things, let you know about what's coming up with this channel and some of the upcoming videos that are coming out. So the lead videos are really near and dear to me, but they're not doing well at all as far as viewership goes. So we're going to make a little change with that. I don't want to give them up completely, so I think I might just do a once a week weekly wrap up. Another neat thing that's coming up is I have a friend that I went through treatment with who has agreed to, let's call it an interview, but not really, just a nice little conversation. And we're going to discuss some of the cool things over the last 2 years for us. I don't know if you've seen my 9 tips before you go to treatment in 9 minutes video. If you haven't, you should go check it out. I'll see if I can pop it up right here or here. I don't know. I'm new at this still. Whether you have or you haven't seen it, I really like the way that video turned out, minus the sound. Working on it. I'd like to do a lot more videos like that. They're fun, they're exciting, and you're going to see some more of those. I've also got some ideas for sharing more life experiences. There's a whole plethora of topics that I can talk about. And honestly, I've started this, I want to continue to share. I want people to realize that it's okay to share and to put yourself out there. And I want to do so in hopes that it will continue to inspire people. I've had some great messages from people and heard amazing stories from many people sharing pieces of their lives with me. It's really motivating me to really amp up my mental health and addiction side of my channel, in hopes that I can continue to inspire and help other people. So yeah, recently was my 2-year cake. For those of you who don't know what that is, every year when it is your sobriety date, you get together at your local AA faction and you celebrate 1 year around the sun of being sober. I recently celebrated my 2-year at my group. Had a bunch of my friends there. It was great. Shared. It was a good time. So I thought, since I'm 2 years sober now, what better time to share an update on how I got here and the changes I've noticed over the last 2 years. So my journey through sobriety from day one till now, it hasn't exactly been typical. Let's go with that. I of course went through a treatment center and ended up loving the city of Nanaimo so much that I decided to stay here from people who really get it, people who are also in the program. Now I've noticed over the past 2 years, a lot of people like to jump right into everything and get things done as fast as they can. For those who know, there's a whole 12-step system in AA. And a lot of people like to jump into those as quickly as they can. I believe it's because they believe that once they do those 12 steps, life will be fixed, they'll be all better. I, on the other hand, approach it a little differently. I gotta take you back a little ways here. When I was younger, I remember helping my dad. He asked me to go get something, and I've always been this way. I just kind of took my time, started strolling over to wherever it was I needed to go. I remember my dad getting so upset with me because, you know, he wanted whatever it was right then, right there, right now. I remember him saying, "You have no sense of urgency." He wasn't wrong. Throughout the majority of my life, I've always done things at my own pace. Getting sober was no exception. Rather than a sprint, I look at it more as a marathon. Jumping back to my father for a moment, we have since had a conversation about that time. My dad has come to appreciate that aspect about me, that I am very calm and patient and do things very methodically. And it works for me. And honestly, throughout these last 2 years, time has been my healer. Throughout addiction, I was very quiet and sullen from the exterior, but on the inside I was very wild, and honestly most of the time felt like my mind was screaming. I was constantly overthinking things, constantly thinking too much about the past, constantly wondering how people thought of me, worrying so much about everything. So yeah, I guess the very first thing I'm going to tell you as far as the changes, I feel like my mind is quieted and I feel less stressed and less pressure. Given my current situation allows for that, I needed the time to heal, I needed the time to grieve, I needed the time to let my brain heal. Like early on, I was in such a terrible fog. I was not thinking straight. Now that things have started to clear up, I'm starting to think more clearly, I'm starting to see things in a better light, I'm starting to think more rationally. I think the biggest aspect of those is the starting to see things in a better light. 2 years ago, everything was so negative for me. My outlook on life was negative, and my outlook on others was negative. I feel like there's so much more to life now. I feel like there's a life worth living now, which I didn't always. Another change I want to tell you about. 2 years ago, it felt like I had just one friend. I was very sad and alone and isolated. Coming to Nanaimo, I've made a lot of new friends, and I feel like they're lasting relationships. These are some of the most important people to me in my life right now. My family will always be very important to me, but my close, tight-knit group of friends, they've helped bring me to where I am today. And I'm so lucky and grateful to have them. And honestly, that's not something I would have felt or would have even thought of 2 years ago. Speaking of my family, I would have to say my relationship with them has very much improved. I still have a long way to go with a lot of past relationships that I've had, as far as redeveloping them and perhaps even making amends. But the key relationships in my life have vastly improved. Another big change I've noticed, I have so much more drive and motivation now. I honestly can't even believe how different I am as far as sticking with something and feeling the motivation to achieve some goals, you know? Truth be told, this feeling of motivation and drive didn't actually come over me until roughly 2 months ago. I had all these great ideas. Starting a YouTube channel was one of them. And 2 years ago, there's no way that I would ever be doing this right here. What I'm doing right now, I would never have been doing it because I never would have got my crap together and moved forward with it. It's a very new concept in my life, and it's exciting. It goes along with that will to live, that remembering there's so much more to life than your sicknesses, your addictions. Those were a trap, those were a cage. Becoming sober and being able to think clearly again. There's so much that I've noticed that I've been missing out on, so much that I haven't taken advantage of, and it feels good. Something else I've noticed is I used to spend a lot of time dwelling in the past, focused very much on what I could have done differently or all the negative mistakes that I've made in my life. I don't really think about the past that much anymore. I'm very much focused on the now. Given, I've started thinking about the future too. In my mid-20s, I honestly didn't think I was going to live to make it to 30. I mean, there was no point at looking at the future. But now I'm looking at the future and I have goals. That's for another video, but it's exciting stuff. It's exciting stuff. Also, what I've noticed that comes along with the being able to think clearly, 2 years ago, I was keeping everything bottled up. Everything. And it was killing me. Now, I have a chat with someone. I talk about what's going on. I talk about how I'm feeling. It's not always a real serious conversation, but sometimes it's just to get it out there. I don't need any answers necessarily. I don't need anyone to make me feel better. I just need to get it out. That's it, you know? Getting in touch with my emotions is such a weight off my chest. It's helped me grieve, and it's helped me live again, if that makes sense. Now, given a lot of these changes that I've noticed, they're actually fairly recent, which brings me right back to the whole time is my healer thing. It's taken quite some time for me to get to where I am. And I still have a long way to go. But I can see that little bit of light at the far end of the tunnel. Some might call that hope. Now, I'm sure there's people out there who are thinking, well, okay, that's great and all. These aren't really things that are tangible, you know, that we can see. Well, I've got one that you can definitely see. So check this out. This was me at the height of my addiction, around 250, 255 pounds, bloated, swollen, red-faced. My face showed just the terrible sadness. I was just horribly depressed and sad. So those pictures were taken in early 2018, even before my brother passed. And the changes, this is me now. This is a photo. These are two photos I took just today. I mean, you can see the difference here. I'm down to 220. That's a considerable amount of weight loss. So there was a lot of weight loss just by, you know, stopping drinking. So if that doesn't motivate you, oof. There is more to the story on the weight loss, but that's for another video. All right, that does it for me here at the Out Cold Doc Show. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and feel free to become a patron on my Patreon, which I'm sure you didn't know I have, but I do. So until next week, get out there, communicate and connect with someone. Go share your story with someone. Tell someone how you're feeling. Ask someone how they're feeling, and really mean it, and listen. All right, have a good one, guys. Thanks, Jeannie.